There comes a moment when the noise of the world fades. And what's left is a question that strikes at the very core of who you are. Am I truly living, or just existing? Most people are sleepwalking, breathing, but not alive, working, but not building, dreaming, but not daring. And in that gray twilight where dreams decay and doubts fester, the average person accepts their cage. They decorate it, rationalize it, call it responsibility, call it reality. But deep down, their soul is screaming, because something in you knows, you were not built for mediocrity. You were designed to rise. And you will, the moment you master the one force that has forged empires, lit the path for visionaries, and pulled humanity from caves into civilizations. That force is the mastery of your own mind. You see, life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. And what you are is determined not by your birth, not by your background, not by your bank account, but by the dominion you claim over your thoughts. It is thought, directed, disciplined, and sustained thought, that turns coal into diamonds, setbacks into staircases, and the ordinary into legends. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "Whatever the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve." And those aren't just words on a poster. That's the law that Carnegie mastered, the law that Edison burned into his soul during 10,000 failures. The law that made Ford defy every industrial giant of his era and build an empire with nothing but a vision, a garage, and a refusal to quit. You become unstoppable when you learn that your thoughts shape your reality. And more importantly, that you choose your thoughts. Most people don't even realize they're thinking. They react, they absorb, they inherit fears from their parents, their peers, their environment, and they live by them as if they were facts. But understand this. Your mind is a garden. You are either planting seeds of power or letting weeds of doubt take root. What you dwell on, you become. What you repeat, you reinforce. If you believe you are limited, every action you take, or don't take, will confirm it. But if you believe you are capable, worthy, and destined, the world begins to bend. Not because it changes, but because you do. Clarity. That's the next step. Because a powerful mind without direction is like a ship with no sail. The wind may blow, but you'll go nowhere. The masters of history, Lincoln, Mandela, Jobs, they didn't wake up wondering what they were going to do. They were locked in, obsessively, relentlessly clear on their vision. Clarity is power. It gives your thoughts aim. It gives your actions focus. And it carves through chaos like a blade through fog. Most people dabble. They want this today, that tomorrow. They drift, wondering why nothing sticks. But those who rise, those who shift from average to unstoppable, they don't dabble. They decide. Decide who you are. Decide what you want. And decide that nothing will stand in your way. Not time, not fear, not failure, not the opinions of the small-minded who gave up on themselves and now want you to do the same. Once you claim clarity, the next question is this. Do you have a purpose that demands your greatness? A man without purpose is a shipwreck in waiting. He may sail for a while, but the first storm will break him. The first hardship will swallow him whole. But a man with purpose? He can endure. He can bleed. He can be bent, broken, mocked, and he'll still rise. Because his mission is bigger than his pain. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. marching through hatred with nothing but vision in his voice. Think of Malala, shot for daring to dream, rising again to educate the world. Think of Walt Disney, bankrupt, laughed at, fired for lack of imagination, and yet still sketching mice. Still building castles in his mind. Purpose is your anchor. It keeps you grounded when the storms hit. And they will hit. So what is your why? What burns so deeply in your chest that comfort becomes a cage and mediocrity feels like a betrayal? When you know that, and only when you know that, will you find the discipline to move forward when everything in you wants to quit. Because make no mistake, discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. It's not motivation. That comes and goes like the wind. It's not talent. That fades and rusts without use. It's discipline, the iron will to do what must be done. Especially when you don't feel like it. While the world sleeps, the disciplined rise. While the world complains, the disciplined create. While the world looks for comfort, the disciplined chase growth, even when it hurts. And it will hurt. You'll be misunderstood. You'll be doubted. You'll lose people who only loved the lesser version of you. The version that played small so they could feel big. But let them go. This path, the path of mastery, the path of greatness, it is not for the weak-willed. It is forged in fire. And action is your fire. Because thoughts without action are dreams. Beliefs without behavior are lies. Intentions without motion are just excuses dressed in pretty language. The universe responds to action. Relentless, imperfect, consistent action. You will stumble. You will fall. You will launch things that fail. You will try, and people will laugh. But if you keep moving, if you keep striking the stone, you will break through. Because persistence wears down resistance. Thomas Edison failed more times than most people have tried. But every failed attempt was one more brick in the foundation of triumph. He didn't invent the light bulb. He discovered 10,000 ways not to do it. And because he moved, because he acted, because he refused to surrender, the world was changed. So many are waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for the fear to leave. Waiting for a sign, a spark, a guarantee. But understand this. Waiting is a silent killer. It whispers in your ear. Disguises itself as patience. Masks its cowardice as preparation. But what it really steals is time, and time is the one currency you never get back. If you want to be unstoppable, you must learn to act not when it's comfortable, but when it's uncertain, not when the path is paved, but when it's foggy, steep, and silent. That is where champions are born, in the moments no one sees. When you choose courage over comfort, movement over doubt, every giant began as a beginner. Every legend once had no idea what they were doing. But they moved anyway. They failed anyway. They bled anyway. Because motion creates clarity. Action births identity. And identity is everything. You don't become confident by thinking your way into it. You become confident by doing what terrifies you, until terror turns into truth. You are capable. You are powerful. You are ready. But you won't know that until you walk through the fire. And here's the paradox. That fire you fear is the same flame that forges your greatness. Now, there's a secret weapon, one most overlook, one most mock. Gratitude. Not as a cliché, not as some fluffy morning mantra, but as a relentless lens through which you see power in the pain. Lessons in the loss, gold in the grit. Gratitude is what transforms hardship into fuel. It takes what should have broken you, and uses it to build you. Carnegie, in his later years, thanked every obstacle, every betrayal, every challenge, because those were the exact chisels that carved his empire. See, when you're grateful, truly grateful, you stop resisting your journey. You stop comparing, you stop begging for ease, and you start demanding growth. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this teaching me? Gratitude is strength. Gratitude is awareness. Gratitude is the seed of abundance. Because when you see the gift in everything, you attract more of everything worth having. But here's what separates the few who rise from the many who wander. Adaptability. The path will shift. The storms will come. The world will change, faster than your plans. The question is, will you change with it? Most break because they cling to how they thought it should be. But the unstoppable? They bend. They pivot. They evolve. Bruce Lee said it best. Be like water. Water doesn't resist. It flows. It adapts. It carves through stone with time and patience. Be like water. When the market changes, flow. When the door closes, find a window. When the world says, no, shift. Adjust. And press forward until it says, yes. Because here's the truth. Life is not rigid. It's not linear. It's a storm, a wave, a dance between chaos and order. And if you resist the rhythm, you break. But if you move with it, you rise. The most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest, not the smartest, not even the strongest. It's the one who cannot be stopped, because they can adapt, outlast, and learn faster than anyone else. And that brings us to one of the greatest engines of mastery. Lifelong learning. You are not a finished product. You are a becoming, a blueprint still under construction. And the moment you believe you know enough, you've already begun to die. Read, study, reflect, observe, not once, not sometimes, but every single day. The greatest minds, Da Vinci, Franklin, Tesla, were obsessed with knowledge. Not just academic knowledge, life knowledge, human nature, patterns, philosophy, skill, strategy, psychology, power. They didn't seek entertainment, they sought enlightenment, and in that pursuit, they became the architects of progress. You must become the same. a student of yourself, of life, of the forces that govern success. Because the more you understand, the more power you hold. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is. So apply it, test it, break it, rebuild it, make it your own. Every book you read, every failure you study, every mentor you listen to, these are your weapons in a world that feeds off distraction, confusion, and noise. While others scroll, you study. While others blame, you analyze. While others complain, you evolve. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. You are responsible for your growth, for your joy, for your outcome. Not your past, not your parents, not your city, not your boss. You. That responsibility is not a burden. It is a gift, because it means you are in control. And when you accept that, fully, completely, you take back your power. The power to change, the power to rise, the power to become. Now let's talk about resilience. Because no matter how strong your vision, how disciplined your habits, how noble your mission, you will fall. You will be hit. You will be betrayed. You will doubt everything you once believed in. And in those moments, those dark, quiet nights when no one's watching, you will face the real test. Not of strength, not of skill, but of spirit. Can you get back up? Again? And again? And again? Resilience isn't toughness. It's not pretending you're fine. It's the sacred decision to stand back up even when you're not fine. It's Lincoln losing election after election, and still running. It's Oprah being fired for being unfit for TV, and still speaking. It's you, standing in the rubble of your plans, and deciding, I will not end here. That's power. Not the kind they give you. The kind you forge. So you want to be unstoppable? Master your mind. Get radically clear. Anchor to purpose. Sharpen your discipline. Take relentless action. Live in gratitude. Flow with change. Obsess over learning. Own your results. And when you fall, rise. Every time. Because the final truth is this. You already have everything you need. You're not missing anything. Not the talent. Not the spark. Not the opportunity. It's all there, waiting for you to claim it, activate it, and command it. This world doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the relentless. Look around you. The world you see, the cities, the technology, the inventions, the miracles of modern life, none of it existed until someone dared to believe. Until someone chose vision over reality, belief over logic, purpose over comfort. Nothing you admire was built by the person who waited. It was built by the one who decided. Decided to wake up earlier, to stay up later, to do more, to be more, to stretch farther than anyone thought reasonable, to fail louder than others dared succeed. And that can be you. You see, the greatest lie ever sold is that greatness is reserved for the chosen few. But the truth? Greatness is simply the result of mastering the one thing most will never understand. Control over yourself. When you control your thoughts, you shape your reality. When you control your emotions, you master your direction. When you control your habits, you build your destiny. This is the game, the only game, not the economy, not the algorithm, not your background, not your critics. The game is you. And when you master that, when you no longer need permission, when you no longer seek validation, when your standards become untouchable and your discipline unshakable, you become a force no one can stop. Not luck, not rejection, not fear, not failure, not even time, because time bends to those who own it. So I ask you, not softly but with fire, how long will you wait to see who you really are? How many years will you give to comfort before you choose your calling? You were not born to drift. You were not born to blend. You were not born to live the same year 75 times and call it a life. You were born to rise, to move people, to challenge reality, to leave a mark that echoes long after your name is forgotten. But that requires a decision. Not someday, not when it's easy. Now. Decide to think differently. Decide to speak power. Decide to act boldly. Decide to demand more from every breath, every hour, every step you take. Burn the backup plan. Stop flirting with mediocrity. Stop bowing to fear. Stop feeding the old identity that's kept you quiet, small, waiting. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary. The greatest war is the one inside you. The war between potential and comfort. Between the old self and the new self. And every day you delay, the old self wins. But every day you rise, the new self strengthens. And one day, not far from now, the new self becomes permanent. And in that moment, you won't just change your life. You'll change the lives of everyone who sees what's possible because you existed. That's the legacy. Not fame, not wealth, but the echo of your courage. The ripple of your transformation. The undeniable light you become when you stop hiding your fire. So if there's one truth I leave you with, one timeless law that every giant before you obeyed, it is this. You become unstoppable the moment you stop negotiating with your limits. When you silence the noise. When you kill the excuses. When you walk through the fear and into the fight. When you stop trying to survive, and start deciding to conquer. And not just conquer for applause, but conquer for alignment. Because the real prize was never recognition. It was knowing, deep in your bones, that you became everything you were meant to become. Not because it was easy, but because it mattered. So go. Not tomorrow. Not after the next book. Not after the next setback. Go now. Build what only you can build. Rise like only you can rise. Live like only you can live. Because in the end, there is no secret, no magic. Just this. Decide who you are. Act like it every day. And never stop, no matter what. This is how you become unstoppable. And this is how you change the world.